wait and hit free agency. Here's what he said about it. Take a listen.
It's a business, and you know when I'm gonna say it, I want to be here, but you know when you look up, all the great quarterbacks I watched played for other teams. So my point in saying that is that's not something to fear. That may be a reality for me one day, may not be my decision. So that's the freedom that I have.
Okay, Greg, your reaction?
I don't mind this at all. I don't mind it one bit, because at some point you have to understand what you're doing and what you're within. And you're within a business. And what you're doing is trying to put yourself in a position to make the most money and maximize who you are and the value that you provide that team that you're with or any team. Mm-hmm. And what Dak Prescott understands is that I'm not exempt. Like, do I want to be here? Of course. I don't know one great player that has performed at a high level for an organization, was drafted by that organization, that desire is having success not only individually but collectively with that organization to a degree, that wants to leave. No one. So obviously Dak doesn't want to leave, but he also understands and is real with himself that I got to prepare myself and my family and whoever else is attached to me to where I may not be the Dallas Cowboys quarterback in the future. And if you are unwilling to do that, you are setting yourself up for disappointment.
That's exactly right.
Any player in the league will tell you that.
And he's alerting the Cowboys. I am not emotionally tied that I have to be here. With 44 days. There's 44 days until the Cowboys open their season on Fox with Tom Brady on the call. Mm-hmm. And I am here to tell you that if a deal is not done by the first snap of that game, one thing I can guarantee, and the other thing I feel very strongly about. What I can guarantee is it will be mentioned on the broadcast by Tom within the first quarter. One of the biggest storylines of this season is Dak Prescott's contract situation. That will be setting the template for the year. And the other thing that I feel very strongly about, if they do not get a deal done before that first game, he's not going to be their quarterback next year because someone will outbid them. They have had exclusive negotiating rights, and they have not been able to get anything done. The price is only going to go up. And if they don't have it done in the offseason, Dak is not going to all of a sudden, in week 7, take a deal. No, at that point, you've taken all the risk already. Might as well go actually hit the open market. So if they have 44 days, in my opinion, to get Dak Prescott's deal done. And if not, this is his last year with the Cowboys.
Wow. Okay. And I'll add to this really quick. And the reason why I feel like he would take that risk is because the very thing kind of happened to Kirk Cousins this year.
Yes.
Like, he played, 5-6 games?
Yep.
Got hurt, an Achilles, and then he still made that amount of money?
There is no real risk.
Yeah.
Do you say there's no emotional attachment from Dak to the Cowboys? Do you think there's an emotional attachment from the Cowboys to Dak? This is Josh's graphic of the big 6 quarterbacks in recent, well, not that recent, we got Don Meredith on there, in Cowboys history. Now, none of them played for another team. They all ended their career with the Cowboys. Now, the odd part of it is there's different injuries and Aikman's concussions, things like that. There wasn't a sort of like Rodgers-esque, like we're kind of moving on from you. But do you think that the Cowboys kind of want to keep Dak? And
well, then they will.
Like, we don't let quarterbacks go to other teams. That's just, you got a star in your helmet, you kind of keep it.
Yeah, I'm not going to. I'm just going to treat it in the Jerry Jones era, right? Mm-hmm. So, because I think how they did things with Staubach and Meredith, like that's to me not as. Or I guess Staubach's there for the beginning of the Jerry Jones era, but Aikman had to retire because of injury. Tony wanted to keep playing, and the Cowboys were like, "You have lost your job to Dak Prescott. You can't have it back." They let him have that one Week 17 game at the end, and that was it. And then he went into broadcasting. And so the Cowboys have made it very clear they are not comfortable making Dak Prescott the highest paid quarterback in the history of the NFL. They have made that clear every negotiation he's had. The first negotiation he had was so protracted, they franchised him. They then franchised him again and got the deal done. This one, I don't know if you remember, Wilds, but a year ago, I was trying to get this story into the show when we were talking Cowboys. The Dak Prescott contract situation. And Wilds, America doesn't love contract stuff. He certainly doesn't love contract stuff 2 years out. But it was...
Stay tuned for the Brock Purdy conversation.
And so, right, exactly. And so, so they could have gotten in front of this a year ago. They didn't. They had all offseason. They didn't. I think they understandably, Greg, have real reservations about if we haven't been able to actually compete for a championship with him on a rookie deal, with him at $40 million a year, how are we going to do it at $60 million a year? So I think they're showing their hand. And what I'm saying is I don't think that if he reaches this season, that next year, no matter what he does this season, how well he plays, that next year they're going to be the top bidder because there are 3 other marquee franchises out there that need quarterbacks that at least one of them is going to pay through the roof for him.
Who are those teams? I got 2.
The Giants,
Yeah.
the Steelers,
Oh, the Steelers.
and the Raiders.
I didn't put the Steelers in.
And I know I just spent the last 10 minutes making fun of the Raiders, but the Raiders are his marquee franchise as far as location and history and tradition. And so that's 3 teams that potentially need quarterbacks.
How many quarterbacks do you want on the Steelers, for goodness sakes?
Well, I mean, maybe one of them will work out, but you at least one of those 3 is going to go into this offseason needing a quarterback. Maybe all 3 of them will.
Okay, CeeDee Lamb still MIA. Cowboys Super Bowl odds fell a bit during CeeDee's absence, which is ongoing. Here's Stephen Jones on a glass of water for dinner.
I mean, this guy's out of his mind.
To celebrate his sibling's birthday.
This guy's out of his mind. He brings his own Tupperware to restaurants.
And he didn't.
Can't be trusted.
Was it tap or did you get a bottle like
Tap.
This guy is out of his mind.
He asked me, do you want still water?
He was like, no,
Tap.
let's.
Give me tap.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you look great, but it's not worth it. Not worth it. Go ahead.
I don't know. Today, first things first, Dak opens the door to leaving Dallas. Is he bluffing or is he actually serious? Meanwhile, Rodgers, dark horse MVP. Is that a good thing? I'm not 100% sure. And finally, Bill Barnwell, friend of the show, takes a shot at predicting Brock's upcoming contract, $65 million a year.
Oh, I can't wait for this segment.
Did you read the full article? Your friend, Bill Barnwell?
I actually did read the full article, and I'll bet sight unseen, you did not make it through the whole thing.
I did a little.
I know it.
Did you read the whole thing?
Look at him.
Look, we're talking about
He
you
didn't
right now.
It's like
challenge
22
me.
minutes. I read several of the chapters. It's a
knew it.
chapterized article. He's like, skip
Like
what
all of
want to
Barnwell.
trade Rock?
Yeah.
Is he actually as
Yeah,
good? How
I
does he
read
compare
the
to
whole
Jimmy
thing
G?
while I was eating.
I may have skipped one part.
You skipped a lot. Let's
No,
just
I
start
may
the
have skipped
show.
one part.
This guy tried to
skipped
say
more
to
than
me,
one
"Did
part.
you
No,
read
no.
the article?" When he didn't read the article.
You better read the whole article.
I did.
There's a lot of Brock
I
compliments in there.
understand.
A lot.
I know.
You were basically
Because
called
I
out by
read it.
name. We start with a puppet. The Raiders poked the bear with a frog wearing a Mahomes jersey. Someone also said, "I'm here," which Mahomes yelled at Max Crosby during 2022's Week 5 victory, one of his 10 wins against the Raiders. Mahomes was asked about this incident and the Raiders' antics today. Take a listen.
I know you've probably seen the video of the Raiders with the Muppet of you. Is that something that you kind of compartmentalize when you get ready to play them?
Yeah, I mean, it's still early in the year. Kind of stuff like that happens. It'll get handled when it gets handled.
I mean, here's the thing, and we don't have to spend a lot of time on this. It is, Aaron Rodgers said words can be deceiving and mean different things, but I think words and definitions matter, which is why I have a hard time saying this is a lopsided rivalry, because it has not been a rivalry in quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
What it has been is multi-year beatdowns, then a fluke that the team gets overly excited about that then leads to more years of beatdowns. So here is the history of Patrick versus the Las Vegas, Oakland Raiders. He beat them 4 straight times to start his career, averaging 35 points per game in those wins with 2 separate